I'm Professor Amy Keeley. Thank you for joining me on Being Paleo today. It is my goal to help people understand the wisdom of the past and to reject this modern construct that we live in that is just not working for us. It is killing us in mind, body, and spirit, and it's time to acknowledge it and to move back to what has been successful for over 1,000,000 years that humans have been on this planet. So I discuss, ancient art, ancient philosophy, ancient lifestyles, ancient food practices. That's, we hear being paleo, but most people think, oh, it's only meat. No, it's not. It's also vegetarian. They didn't always have, as a hunter and gatherers, they didn't always have the buffalo that they could eat. So they learned to hunt and gather, as well as eating, meat. So there's a misunderstanding of the being paleo plan as well. But going back to these ancient practices where people were well balanced, they lived a well balanced lifestyle, and we are so out of balance that it's profound. And it's now time, as I said, to accept that it's not. So these videos, these small little videos are called my motivationals. What I'm doing is taking an ancient saying that I learned from my grandmother, or that I've made made a saying based on some of the things that my grandmother, or that I have observed from my grandparents. And so today it's about that no one is successful without goals. It's not something that's an ancient saying per se, but the ideas are there. And that's the other thing too that we'll talk about and unpack. So make sure that you subscribe below, click the bell for some more of my updates, because what I'm doing is these are these little short motivationals, but I will unpack them in lecture series a little bit more, because again, I teach a lot of different classes. I teach management, business classes, fashion, merchandising program, HR, a lot of different classes. I'm an interdisciplinarian, and my design, what I've realized about myself, again, I just did another called Know Thyself, which is what Socrates would say, is that I'm an educator. And I'm also somebody who is designed, and that's what I've learned about myself, is that I get great pleasure when I help people with the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years. And that's why I have a lot of students that still follow me and still reach out to me, and I never charge them for my services. That was my commitment that I made to them in classes, that even though I charge $350 an hour because of my credentials and my experience, I will never charge them for any help that I give them. That was the commitment I made to them in class, that I am not invested in just them passing my class. I'm invested in them as human beings throughout their career and their journey. And I will always be there for them. So that's the idea behind these little motivationals, is to give you this little quick idea and then move on to a lecture on it, so that you can take theoretical learning and apply practical application. So the idea today is no one is successful without goals. And I thought about this when I was thinking about this, and I thought even a stream has a goal. Not like it has a consciousness, unless you think Mother Earth has a consciousness, which that is a philosophy that's out there, anthropomorphic ideas, is that there is this living being that is Mother Nature. So I can ascribe to that. But if you look at a stream, what is a stream's goal? It's to get to a larger waterbed. So a stream is always moving down the watershed and into a lake, which then feeds a river, which then feeds out into an ocean. So even a stream, as it meanders along in life, has this goal towards getting toward its end goal, which is to be a part of the ocean. And so water comes down, naturally through rain, and feeds the aquifers and the underground water systems. And I'm now, for reasons I won't go into, I'm now a soil chemistry expert, after having talked to a lot of experts on soil chemistry, which is soil is defined as a particulate matter, which includes minerals, and sediment is that particulate matter in water. So there is a lot to be said for how that natural system works, but at the end of the day, it's always moving contiguously towards a larger water source. So it even has a goal. So you have to start to think about in your life, what is your goal? So again, knowing thyself, what is it? You want to be a house mother, a housewife? Because I know, a lot of people put down, being a housewife. It's not part of that feminist movement that they have this idea of whatever that is. But I know some CEOs of a household, and I told my mom one day that if your goal is that you don't want to work, She used to complain as she was the first female industrial engineer at General Motors. And I know that now that had to be really tough, working in a male environment and having to work harder than the men in that traditional role. And I've learned a lot from her. And I did a lecture series at the Illinois Chamber of Commerce on what I've learned from my mom. And I'll bring that into Being Paleo and also my Hunter Hennessy video channel, where I talk about more my business side. So as an intellectual, I'm trying to break apart these two sides to myself. But even my mom had this goal. Some days that I want to be this engineer and the best engineer that I can be. But then sometimes she's like, I want to give it up and just be a housewife. And I said to her, I said, I'm apolitical. I am an independent. I will say that from the very beginning. I hate both sides of government these days. So I said, I call it the Barbara Bush philosophy on life. Is that I'm sure if I were thinking about Barbara Bush, she probably made that decision one day to say, you know what? I don't want to work in the business world. I don't want to work in government. I don't really want to work in education. I just want to stay home and raise children and be the best mom that I can and do that. And I said to my mom, if you really wanted to stay home, then your job and your goal is to make sure that your husband is so successful so that he can bring in the amount of money to have this lifestyle of whatever it is that you want to live. If you want to be a middle-class person, that's fine. Then make sure that your husband makes enough money to be middle class, or make sure that you make enough money to be middle class. If you want to be a wealthy, industrialist or socialist or whatever, socializing person, not socialist, the party. But if you want to be a socialite, then make sure that your partner is equally successful, that they're bringing in enough money to live that lifestyle. But my mom was always trying to make my dad do things that he didn't want to do. And at the end of the day, I told her, this is the Barbara Bush philosophy of goals, which is, if that's what you want, then make your husband successful. Host networking parties where he can meet people and build stronger relationships. Go out with him to networking parties and help him cultivate people of influence that can help get him to the next career level. That becomes your job. Your job also becomes making sure the house and the bills are all taken care of. Because I'm an executive. When I come home, I'm like that male. I don't want to think. I don't want to make another decision all day. I don't want to work on my house. I don't want to clean. I don't want to do anything. I just want to let my mind relax from a very busy day of doing strategy, of always having to be on my feet thinking. It's exhausting. It is mentally and physically exhausting. So having someone you can come home to that has all of that taken care of, you become the CEO of the household. And yet smart women haven't figured that out, that if that's your goal, then be as good as you can be to make sure that your partner is as good. So not everybody can be that, but again, it's having that goal. So again, if you want to be a housewife and you don't want to work in the business world, how can you have a goal to be that and be at whatever this lifestyle money is that you have? Again, if it's middle class, if it's upper middle class, whatever it is, that you're helping your partner get there by being the CEO of your household. If you want to be a J-Lo of the world, then go out and find and take a deep research dive on everything it took to become her. Because what you're doing is you're looking at her as she is right now. You're not looking at her before she was anything. Busted her ass, still busts her ass. Her work ethic didn't change because she became successful. Her work ethic is because she's successful. But people look at that leisure lifestyle and that luxury lifestyle and lament, well, I want it. Well, it doesn't happen without hard work. And that was the other podcast I did that you should go back and watch, which is that work hard and then work even harder. But you have to set a goal. So do you want to be an actress? Do you want to be a business entrepreneur? Do you want to be a housewife? Do you want to be an actor? What is it that you want to do? You have to have the goal, because all the things in your life, and now that goal may change, but you have to start out with the goal. And your life experiences will either get you there or they will change your direction along the way. So again, I went to my goal coming out of high school was never to be a housewife. It was always to be a vice president in New York City working for a fashion brand. Am I doing that? No. Along the way, I got into business, got excited about business, then wanted to understand the common denominators against all the businesses. That's why I rejected working for General Motors. And my mother thought I was nuts. She's like, Amy, the co-op program that you just got invited to that you just turned down is the entree into General Motors. And I said, Mother, I don't want to be like you, working 25 years for the same company. I'm interested in how business operates, and I can only learn that by working in a lot of different businesses. So I've worked in a lot of different industries. So my goal was knowledge. And now I'm at that point where I've attained the knowledge, and now my career has shifted. Now I want to be in education. And I went to become a college professor, and I'm struggling with the broken educational system and how that operates, and trying to figure out, because it's not, there's a break between business and what business needs and what education is providing. Education said, I will provide you with the top talent that you can then just plug and play in your organizations. And now businesses are like, yeah, you just sent me somebody who it doesn't work. That tells you there's a profound break in what education is doing versus what business needs. That being said, is that it's all about self-learning, and so my goal was knowledge. I don't look at everything I do and say, how much are you going to pay me for it? Because I look at knowledge, and my goal of knowledge is getting knowledge, however I get it, that somehow it will monetize itself later on, but I don't go into thinking about it. So I had a friend of mine who helped me. I helped him do self-publishing on Amazon. Have I written a book yet? No, but I did it to understand how to self-publish, so that when I am ready to buy a book, I now have the choice of either, if I don't get picked up by a book publisher, then I have another outlet. I know how to be able to self-publish. So that knowledge is what comes in through doing this, and not always looking at doing this like you have to pay me to do it. As yes, you do want to be paid for that, but there's some things that you should be doing for knowledge, just purely for the act of doing it, to learn it, because we now are in this culture where everybody's been taught in theory, and the practical application of that is why it doesn't stick in your brain. So the idea why you subscribe, hopefully, is that I'm giving you these ideas of how to set goals and to how to really start to think about what is it you want in your life. Make a list. What is it? Do you want a larger house? What do you like? I like acting. I like this. What gives you pleasure? Because there's that old adage too of follow your pleasure and you will have a career. So these old adages are this old ancient oral culture that we have now discounted, because if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. That's the scientific method. Well, that's failed us. Scientific method has failed us. Ancient oral culture is what Native Americans have taught their children through dance and through singing. That's an oral culture. They're teaching wisdom and life lessons through symbolism and through music, that then it gets embedded in your brain. You ingest that philosophy through how you live your life, and people will watch you, and that's the way it's supposed to be, is that I'm watching how you live your life and your actions, and I'm learning from your actions. That's not what's taught in college and in education. It's, here's the book, read it, know it. Well, life is not in the answers to life are not in the back of the book. There is no book. So how do you create that? And that's what I'm doing in these motivationals and in my lecture series, is how do I take these ideas of these ancient wisdom, talk about it on a high level, but then offer you seminars on those that will teach you the practical application of how to tie what you do every day to these ideas in these ancient wisdom, so that you can now live a healthier, more fulfilled life. And if that's being a billionaire, millionaire, God bless. But also looking at that and realizing that those people are equally damaged. Those, money hasn't changed the problems that they have. You have the same problems that Kardashian has. You have the same problem that Paris Hilton has. You have the same problem that the Hearst family has. Money just makes it a bigger problem. So you have to ask yourself, and that's part of it, rejecting the modern life, is just being okay with what you make. Don't desire something that is outside your purview to make. If you don't want to work that hard that they did, then accept it. Okay, I'm not going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be happy with what I make. I'm going to reinvest in my life and my friends, and I'm going to be happy. And that's what it comes down to. If you do that, you get rid of everything in life. And for example, I tell you this because I've never taken an antidepressant. I've never been anxious. I have been anxious but calmed myself down. It's not a condition for me. It's oh, okay, I feel this. Let me find some way to negate it. And I use comedy and laughter to help me break out of either a depression or an anxiousness. I've never used medication. So I'm hoping to be able to take how I've lived my life, medication, chemical free. And there's some people that require it, so don't get me wrong. But how can we return to a healthier mind and body and spirit? Because in doing that, you will probably find over time, you either need less of the medication, if at all. And I've seen that even with my friend out walking. She was on high blood pressure medication. 4 months of our walking and lifestyle change, she came to me and said, my doctor took me off a high blood pressure medication. I don't need it anymore. All she changed was her activity and the way she ate to become healthier and got herself off of medication. So again, I'm not prescriptive about that. That's up to your doctor. But I just know that if you live a healthier lifestyle like the ancients did, in balance with things, there's a knowledge that the ancients reveal that I want to uncover. And it starts with these little motivational sayings. And then again, click to subscribe and I will unpack that further for you so that you can hopefully be able to live in balance. But thanks again for joining me today on Being Paleo. Don't forget to subscribe and share my channel for more inspirations on how to be able to live a healthier life. It's in balance with nature and in balance with yourself. So enjoy the day being Paleo.